welcome to Fake Horse Inc. Live Party.
Yay!
Hey, Tish. Hey, everybody is watching in Facebook land and YouTube land. Welcome, welcome. It's KT Cito and Patty Harris with Fake Horse Inc. Sin couldn't be with us today. Unfortunately, she's feeling a little under the weather. We are here with our author, Vonnie Winslow Crist. She celebrating her brand new release, Beneath Raven's Wing. Now, Beneath Raven's Wing is really special to us because it is the first single author book that we have released in 2021 under the new format that we have here at Fake Horse. So we're super excited about this. We've been doing a lot of advertising all over the place and on Facebook, and we've been putting our names out there and trying to get her work seen because we are so gratified and excited to have her with us. Vonnie was with us before as part of Nightmare Whispers, and she's got a copy of it right there. She was in the first volume. She also did some poetry that was in our Fake Dreams anthology as well. So she is no hand to working with us, and we were really, really blessed to have her submit her manuscript to us to publish her volume of short story. It's a YA volume, and that's something that we don't have too many books in that genre.
I think we only have one other than that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is going to be kind of the flagship here. Vonnie's book is. She's setting the stage and setting the tone for everybody that's coming after her. So the bar is set pretty high. So if you guys have seen any of the ads that are going around for this book, you will know that this book, Beneath Raven's Wing, features ravens pretty prominently, and just about every story that's in there. Well, actually, every story that's in the book has some ravens. Even if the ravens are just looking on, they're there. There's ravens in this book. It's very well named. So the first story in particular has a pretty cool. The idea came from a pretty cool place, the Tower of London, and I have got a short video to play about the Raven Master of the Tower of London. So I'm going to share my screen and let everybody take a watch. Hold on. Pull this over here. Of the Raven Master. There we go. Where's the sound? Oh dear. Sound. Oh dear. Hang on. Why?
Are we having technical difficulties already?
Technical difficulties here. Hold on. We have zero sound, so we're going to stop sharing. All right. We're going to stop sharing for a moment while I figure out why. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I can
Yes.
hear you.
You can't hear this. And I think the reason why is that I'm using headphones, so I think I'm going to have to turn the headphones off and then try this again without the headphones.
All right, can you all still hear me?
We can hear you.
All right, let's see if we can hear this.
Yes.
No, we can't. Well then, plan B. We will not be watching this video. So,
Plan B is always fun.
I will post the link in the comments for the stream. And anybody that wants to watch the video can watch the video at their leisure.
While you're doing that, I will mention that I saw the ravens at the Tower of London and spoke briefly with the Raven Master. And that was really the beginning place of the first story.
Okay, so tell us, because this is what the video was supposed to do, to segue into you telling us about how you came up with the idea for the first story in the book. So take it away.
Okay. Well, I went there in 2015 with my husband and some friends, and we were there to tour the Tower of London, and I had no idea the ravens were going to be there. And we're going through, and of course, there they are. And one of them boldly hopped right over to me. I had no food, but he or she looked at me, and I spoke with the raven for a little while and saw the keep where they kept the raven. And then also went and talked briefly with the Raven Master and asked him about it. And one of the foods that they feed those ravens are blood-soaked biscuits, in addition to raw meat. And so that was the idea for the story, blood-soaked biscuits, that this indeed is what ravens are fed. And there's also a story, a legend that may or may not be true, that two young heirs to the throne were murdered and buried under one of the rooms, one of the towers. So, of course, that gave me the idea of a young heir being buried under there, murdered and buried. I saw the ravens, saw the raven keeper. Of course, it was an older gentleman. It wasn't a young boy. And I decided that would be a perfect beginning place for a story. And the legend with the raven, now they're supposed to have 6 ravens at all times at the Tower of London, where they have less than 6, then Britain is supposed to fall. The country's going to fall. So I took that idea also and said, well, the country I set up, the tower, the family, in this case, I called them the Garricks. If the ravens left, then they would lose their power, their line would fail, their line would fall. And so I kind of began there, and of course added all kinds of fiction. And I made my raven keeper a young boy who was an orphan. I made his best friend be the ravens, because that's who he was with all the time. And I made my ravens sentient. They were aware, they were smart, and they could not have their wings clipped. The Tower of London, the ravens do have their wings clipped so that they won't leave. But in my story, they couldn't. So when the ravens would leave, if they decided to leave, then the worst was going to happen. And then I tried to research medieval ways of doing people in. I'm sure that the people online wondered what I was doing, and found out that arsenic poisoning was called inheritance powder, which I thought most interesting. That's how you got your inheritance. You made sure somebody got a little arsenic. And then I think the other methods of things happening also were researched and basically medieval. And that's kind of the beginning place for that story. And I've used travel a lot in these stories and in all my fiction. I use myth and legends and travel, because if you look around when you're traveling someplace, there's all kinds of things to observe and to absorb and to use in your writing.
That is absolutely wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. The 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 stories in this book are so evocative. They're so the word I'm looking for. When I was reading them, I could see your way of writing is it's very lyrical. So there's a rhythm to it. You set the scene so well. So even though they're just short little bites of moments in time, you can actually see what's going on. You can feel what's going on with the people, and you do a lot with your character development. So I'm going to segue now into our next segment, which is a Q&A. So I'm going to do some questions. I'm going to ask some questions to Vonnie. Now, it's very important that y'all are watching us. Pay attention to the answers she gives, because I'm going to choose one of these questions and put it on our parody page wall. The first person who gives the right answer, and the right answer being the one that Vonnie gives to the question, gets a copy of Beneath Raven's Wing from us. So pay attention. We're going to do questions a couple of times. We're going to do about 4 or 5 questions now, and then about 4 or 5 questions later, depending on how we feel. And then we'll post a thing after the launch party is over, onto the Fake Horrors party room group wall. Right? I am having such a hard time talking today. Oh my goodness. This is what happens when I do things sober. Okay. All right. So, Vonnie.
Yes.
What is the first book that made you cry?
Oh my goodness. It would have to be a children's book. I'm a weeper. I get so involved in stories, that I cry. Well, I can tell you for sure, certainly Old Yeller. There's not a happy ending there.
Yeah, no. Any book where the dog dies.
No, that's not.
Yeah. I was thinking of Where the Red Fern Grows as another option. I mean, there are a lot of options, and almost all of them.
You gotta have one right answer here.
I know, because I'm thinking Black Beauty. I mean, I could go on. No, I think Old Yeller is what I would pick.
Okay, all right. Let's see. The next question. Let's see. Do you think someone could be a writer if they don't feel emotions strongly?
I think you could write nonfiction, because I think nonfiction, you detach yourself a lot from your emotions because the facts have to speak. So I think you could write nonfiction. I think fiction, if you're going to ask your reader to feel emotion, you kind of have to be someone who feels emotion, so you can know the right buttons to push. And those buttons, of course, are language buttons and action buttons and character buttons. But yeah, I think you could write nonfiction.
Okay. All right. How do you select the names of your characters?
Very carefully. And I know people think that character names, you just pull them out. I literally researched the names. I think a perfect example in the story Mangata, the name means literally the reflection of moonlight on water. So, and not just that, but the path that it draws in that reflection. And so I, of course, chose her name because that becomes really important in the story, that she's able to see that path of the reflection across ice, in this case, frozen water. So she can do a task safely that the trolls ask her to do. But I choose them. I usually research them. If I'm writing about something in a specific culture, I usually try to pick a culture appropriate name so that I'm not using Bob if the culture I'm researching and writing in happens to be Finnish, because it's probably not a name you're going to find. And so I try to do that.
Okay. How about, have you
That makes sense, actually.
All right. Let's see. Have you ever gotten reader's block? Everybody always asks about writer's block. I'm asking about reader's block. Have you ever been just unable to read?
I wish. No. I have more books than I can read, and more books than I'll ever have time to read, but I refuse to give them all up. And I will always find books to read, and I love to read. And I found I can read more than one book at once. And I'm sure as I get older, that's not going to be the case. So I maintain all the details. But right now, I have more than one book started, and I can usually retain the details and read them. So for me, no, weirdly enough, I don't yet. And maybe if you get older, you do, but never for me.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Next question. Have you ever considered writing under a pseudonym?
No, I'm already writing sort of under one. I use my nickname, and I was baptized Yvonne. And so Vonnie is what I've been called all my life. So I'm kind of already doing that. But no, I've always been a storyteller, whether verbally. When I was talking to my younger sisters, I would always tell them stories to entertain them and the neighbors and friends and around campfires and stuff. And my art, because I started out in art, and all my art tells stories, and I've never been worried about telling stories. And I guess that's why I've never chosen to do that, because story is part of who I am.
Okay. All right. Okay, so now it's time for our first game. Our first game is catchphrase. So I'm going to give Vonnie a word. She is going to try and make everybody who is watching guess the word without saying the word. That's the rule. You cannot say the word. You can't say part of the word. You can use hand gestures.
Good. I'm trying not to talk with my hands, but I'm a hand talker.
but you cannot say the word, okay? All right. The word is all right. You got your word. Go.
For people who know me, the first anthology I edited for Pole to Pole Publishing has this word in it. Sleeping Beauty hung out in one, so did Rapunzel. My husband worked in communications, and you see lots of these on high places so that our cell phones work and other communication devices work. Gosh, let me think what else I can say about this. I don't know. Has the name come up? The answer I would think is Rapunzel.
Someone got it.
I'll say with Rapunzel, that's pretty clear.
Whoever that is, they didn't put your name in, so I'm not sure who that was. That was the word. Okay, next word. This is going to be hard. Go.
Birds have them. Their whole body's covered in them. Whereas reptiles have scales, just like fish. Birds have these. If you hold one under your nose, it tickles you.
That's cheating.
You picked the word that was easy.
Jenny got it. Okay, let's try another one. Wait a minute. Let me try something else. All right, here. Okay, hold on. This one's gonna be easy, but my brain is. I should have written down a bunch of them.
It has chapters. It has a title. It has a front cover and a back cover. And I couldn't live without them.
Neither could I.
Beneath Raven's Wing is one. So is Nightmare Whispers. So is Fey Dreams. And I have them on shelves. Too many of them on shelves. And the library is full of them.
Jenny got that right away. That was a throwaway one.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was too easy.
All right. The next word in the game is.
Oh, this is a tough one. Two of the stories involve monks, the first story and the very last story. Monks call each other brothers and other names like that, but there's a head dude in charge of the monks, and we're not talking the Pope. We're talking within a specific monastery or a specific abbey. There is a guy who's the head monk. The best way to put it, I guess.
This might be a little too hard.
I think it's a word not many people use.
No. Well, I think it's an antiquated word. Right now, they would probably call it a bishop or maybe other. No, I don't know. I guess he's below a bishop, but it would be a word that we wouldn't use as much because we don't usually use that terminology as much as we used to. So it's kind of an antiquated word. Geeks like me know, but
me too.
Tish is really close. She's really close.
I was gonna say it was gonna rhyme with something, but if I say the word it rhymes with, it kind of.
Yeah, no, that would be giving it away.
Yeah, it would.
I gotta hit this. If anybody has seen Robin Hood Men in Tights, the wedding scene, someone says it.
Yes.
There we go. Jenny, nope, that's not it. Wrong one.
Jenny got it.
Jenny got it. Yeah.
That's a tough one.
I pressed the wrong thing. Jenny got it. All right. Okay. One more, and then we will move on to.
We'll make it easier than Abbott.
Hey, exactly. That's what he said. Hey, Evan.
Yeah, I like Jenny's last comment on that one. I'm telling you.
Grand Poobah. Oh, that's hilarious. Okay. All right. Last one. This one, let's make it a good one. There we go.
I got to get my spectacles on. See this one? That's what I thought. Okay.
Ending with a hard one. This is going to be challenging for you.
Maybe anyone who's into steampunk probably knows this word, and it refers to a mechanical creature. Often in this book, there is a raven who's this kind of raven, and it usually involves gears, and it can involve other mechanical things like that.
Mike got it.
Do you?
There we go. Mike got it. All right. Okay, so moving right along. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in here. We are live with Vonnie Winslow Crist, and Patty and I, Fake Horse Inc., are launching Beneath Raven's Wings with her. And it is a book of short stories. We are going to do another quick round of Q&A with Vonnie now. You ready? I'm going to ask you a few more questions. Okay, let's see. Do you read your book reviews?
Actually, yes. Which I know some people say don't. I actually do. But I kind of look at them, whether they're good or bad or in between, with the same enthusiasm. Because if you've ever edited, and I know Patty's done this, and I assume you have too, you know it's your opinion, really. And so when you're talking about a reviewer, it's one person's opinion. And I know from submitting work to different editors, I've gotten back a reply, no thanks, we hate the story, basically. Nicer than that usually, but that's basically what they're saying. And the next editor I send it to says, I love it, best story we got. So basically it's one person's opinion, but you can actually learn from your reviews whether everybody says they love it because of all the adjectives or they hate it because of all the adjectives. It tells you as the writer, those adjectives are sticking out. And you need to look at your writing and say, well, if I'm going to want to use those, I need to find a way to smooth them in, blend them in a little more so they're not sticking out. So I actually read them, but I try to learn from them. If somebody's really great, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm not that great a writer. I'm a solid writer, and I have to remember that. And if they say I'm a terrible writer, I also have to remember I'm still a solid writer and not let it make me feel discouraged.
Cool. All right. Let's see. Do you Google yourself?
No. The only time I might do that if I want a quick link to my website to make sure that I've updated something, and that way it's very quick. But usually I just put my name in, I can click on my website. Or if something like that, but not usually. Once again, that really doesn't matter who I am as a writer. It's just kind of on the fringe. So I don't really need that information usually.
Okay.
Of course, if something really exciting showed up on Google, all my family, friends, and everybody who knew me would be letting me know that something exciting showed up. And I would expect if it was too exciting, it wasn't me anyway. It was probably, not the truth. But, we'll see. Usually I don't bother with that kind of thing.
Okay. How long on average does it take you to write a book?
Okay, now I got this question from an interview that I did to be published on a website, and it's not a fair question if you apply it to Beneath Raven's Wing, because when you talk about a short story collection, usually what you're doing, you're writing short stories, and you're not thinking about a book in the beginning. You're just writing the stories, and you're sending them out, and you're getting yes and no's, and you're kind of doing it. But somewhere in the process, you notice that you have a theme developing, and it's not necessarily something you set out to do at that point. Then when in my case, it would be ravens for this book. And when all of a sudden I saw ravens, I thought, no, wait a minute. I'm beginning to get a group here of stories that have something in common. Because if you're going to put together a short story collection, even though there are all these different stories and all these different narratives, there has to be a feeling of one book, of everything coming together. And so with the short story collection, it's a little different because you're writing these stories, you have some written and you're continuing to write, and you might need to write some to finish the book. In case of a novel, that's a different thing. You have one narrative. You're basically following one story arc. And that, in the case of my first novel, I can tell you, I might not have chosen to written it so quickly, but I wrote it in about 3.5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you why I went crazy with it. I went to a writer's conference and had an appointment with an agent. And I thought when I signed up for it that I was signing up to show the agent the first 100 pages, there's 50 to 100 pages of the book, and get their input so I could finish the book. I misread it. So I got there and the agent said, sure, I'd like to represent it. Could you send it to me? But remember, I'd only written 50 to 100 pages, and it was closer to 50, believe me. So all of a sudden, I was caught, and I didn't mean to be caught in it. And so I wrote very quickly and revised very quickly and went through the process. Now, it all turned out that agent left the business, and I lost my agent, and the publishing house closed. I mean, the agency, closed, on and on. So I actually found my own publisher for that novel, who then I decided wasn't a good publisher, and ended up going to another publisher. So it's a very strange story, but the actual writing process was very quick and very intense, and we had lots of carry out at my house.
That was awesome. That was awesome. Now,
yeah.
Last question. What is a book that you like, but a lot of other people don't?
Well, I'm not sure that I like a book that a lot of people don't. I like some books that are kind of obscure. And it's funny because I like to read young adult work, because I think all young adult fiction has to stand up. And it's good for adults to read it, but it's also appropriate for kids. And that's kind of a tricky thing to walk. So, I said that's kind of the trickiest thing. So a lot of what I like are young adult. I like the Hunger Games when they first came out and nobody knew what they were. And that particular author had written some middle grade work.
Good books.
Well, she had also written a series of middle grade series, and the Underland Chronicles or something like that, which were really for a middle grade. It's kind of low YA middle grade, which were delightful. And she really tried out all her themes and her ideas there. And I don't think a lot of people have read those or know much about them. And there was oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of the name of it. Of course, I'm not where my books are at right now. I'm in my husband's office. But oh my goodness. There's a book that, and I'm trying to think of its name, and it won't come to me. It's once again sort of an obscure book, and it's about the Salem witch trials, and the mother's being put on trial as a witch, and it turns out that it's actually the daughter, and it's and oh my goodness, and it's not going to. It will come to me after this is off. But obscure books like that, and lots of times YA, because there's some wonderful storytelling that goes on because to keep the interest of someone in their teens or young adult, early 20s, you have to be a good storyteller, because they're not going to tolerate bad storytelling.
Since you like young adult, I would recommend Irene Hunt's Up a Road Slowly. It's second age. It's pretty good.
Well, I'm trying to think. There's a
and
bunch
it's
of
obscure.
Yeah. Well, and that often is the case. Or they might be popular for a very brief time. Well, I think one of the nicest stories is the one Cinder. I don't know if you've read it. It really is a Cinderella story told in a science fiction genre, and there's a bunch of follow-ups, but the first one's really strong. And believe it or not, that particular book, there was no hope for it being a success. And it was actually bloggers who picked up on the book, started blogging about it, promoting it, and it became a success and has been followed up by, a half a dozen books, mainly because readers and bloggers love the book, not because publishers or agents did, but readers and bloggers. So I think it's very interesting. Young adult is a kind of an interesting area of the book industry.
Really is.
Okay. Well, Patty has something that she wants to show everyone. I'm super excited to see it. Patty?
We've been testing the waters on a couple of places for the paperbacks, and the first one that we tried was Lulu, and we ended up not liking them because of their cost price, their cost point. But in order to test them out, we had to, if I can get it in screen, order a proof. So I actually have the book. And it is gorgeous, guys. I mean, you can see it's a thick book. We've got it up on B&N now, and B&N does have paperback and hardback because we found that their cost point was a little lower. But I'm sorry, I'm used to doing video like this. But this turned out to be beautiful. I mean, I got it in, and I got on and told P and Cindy how excited I was to hold it, because it is gorgeous.
Ooh.
And it's
look at that. That's
wonderful.
And the B&N version looks just like this, only it's from Barnes & Noble.
It does.
So,
and the nice thing about going with B&N is not only do we have paperback and hardback through them, their cost is better, but also because it's through them, they carry it in their stores. So you might be able to walk into a Barnes & Noble and find your book on a shelf. So,
that's right.
But but we did get the Lulu proof, and it excited me.
That is super exciting. It is super exciting.
It is, and I tell you, I'm going to sneak in here real quickly. I want to make sure the readers know it really was a joint effort. Patty was a tough editor, but a fair editor, and I think we were able to improve the stories because of her hand being on there. And I think as for publicity and for overall input and for a lot of the promo kind of little bits and pieces of words that need to be used, I think Kat did a great job. It really was a team effort. I think the success, which I hope will occur, will really be a reflection of that.
My an ad, so I mean, I know the money was well spent there. There's eyes on it. There's eyes on it. So I'm very sorry to announce that we have lost our Raven flavored drink segment. I know everyone was watching just for that. But unfortunately, my sister is ill. So you got to do what you got to do. So this is going to be quite a bit shorter than we intended because first we lost the video and now we lost the drink segment. So the only thing that is left is the readings, the excerpts. I'm going to read the very beginning of this book. The very beginning. So the very beginning of the first story in Beneath Raven's Wings. And then, Bonnie, Patty, if you guys want to read something afterwards, you can. If you don't want to, it's fine. We can end it with that. And I will post the question that I have chosen of the question in our party room so that somebody can win their copy of this. I don't know if you want to do a signed copy as well. We'll talk about that later.
And I got to tell you, it makes sense that everything's gone crazy wrong. January is Edgar Allan Poe month, as far as, everybody's concerned.
It really is. And I got the first headdress I ordered was bigger, and it did not come. So I ordered another one, and it came. And the first one's still coming, but it's not going to be here for another week or so. So I don't know what I'm going to use it for.
Well, you'll have to find an occasion.
You never have enough black feather headdresses.
No, I mean, I have multiple feathered earrings, so you just never have enough. No, yeah. But it's funny. Today's the anniversary of his wife Virginia Clem's death. Yesterday was the anniversary of the publishing of The Raven. Of course, he was born in January. Things got to go wrong and got to go crazy in January.
And you and I both are Marylanders, so Poe is ours. Poe is ours. We celebrate like crazy.
Well, it's funny because people
I grew up in Maryland too, so
then you know.
Yep.
And I have to laugh because people who go, oh, he went to Virginia, to the school there. I'm like, no. And then they'll say different times he's at different locations. I'm like, oh no, Poe belongs to Baltimore. He's buried there. In fact, he was buried twice there, which I always tell people, which they're always shocked at. He had a very modest grave in a back corner. And then they made the big monument and moved him. He and his wife and his mother-in-law are all buried there.
I mean, it's a thing. If you're in Baltimore, you need to go. You need to go. There really is so much going on. But okay, totally off the subject. Well, kind of on the subject, but off the subject. So I am going to read the first story in this anthology. It's called Blood-Soaked Biscuits. And I think maybe I should do full screen so that you guys can see only me. So let's do that. And here we go. Blood-Soaked Biscuits, the first story in Beneath Raven's Wing by Vonnie Winslow Crist. Every morning before dawn, Calvin lost it. Sorry. So let's try again. Every morning before dawn, Calvin collected day-old biscuits from Master Pierce, the Lord's head cook. Next, he soaked them in the blood of whatever animal had been slaughtered for breakfast. After he had soaked the biscuits, he put them into 2 buckets and carried the bloody baked goods from the kitchen at the rear corner of the inner ward to the Castle Monrun's mavens. Others might have been squeamish about both the blood and the large, sometimes aggressive corvids, but not Cal. He had been the official raven keeper for 7 years, ever since he had been orphaned by an open-sore plague when he was 5. The prior raven keeper had succumbed to the same plague as Cal's parents. Whether motivated by compassion or the desire to not deal with the birds himself, one of the cook's assistants had made arrangements for Cal to learn to care for the raven. Although the choice must have had the approval of Master Pierce, since nothing happened at the kitchen or with the food without him knowing about it. As payment for his work, Cal was given meals and a sleeping pallet in the stables. He felt lucky. Still, he wondered what his life might have been like were his parents still alive. The flock of ravens he cared for were sacred to the Carricks of Melbourne. It was believed the birds were the key to the success of the family. Their likeness appeared on the shields, banners, soldiers' uniforms, even the stonework of the castle of Malvern, its inner and outer gatehouses, and its town wall. According to legend, if the blackest death corvids abandoned the castle, the Garricks would cease to rule. The legend forbade the Garricks or anyone else acting on their behalf to hold the birds captive, so none of the raven's wings could be clipped. The unkindness must stay in the castle by choice, not by the inability to fly somewhere else. Okay. How about that, guys? You want more, right? Everybody wants more. Everybody wants more. Everybody wants more. Well, if you want more, you have got to go and buy Beneath Raven's Wings. I am so happy that you all joined us today. Vonnie, are you going to do a reading or no?
I'll go ahead. I'm only going to read about 250 words. And the reason is, if you saw the gorgeous full moon before the snow clouds moved in, this particular January moon is called a wolf moon. And so I do have wolves in the book, not huge numbers, but there are wolves. And so to celebrate the wolf moon, I'm going to read a little tiny excerpt from Mangata. And it's about an older sister whose younger sister has been abducted by trolls. And it's set in Scandinavia. And believe me, having been there, it is cold, it is snowy, it is mountainous. And trolls could certainly exist there once you start wandering around. And so I'm going to read real quickly this little teeny excerpt. She and her dog, Lajola, are looking for her sister, and they know she's been abducted by trolls. But unfortunately, they're being tracked by wolves.
Okay. Full screen and take it away, dear.
Okay. Protect me from the wolves, Lojola, she said to the wolf dog. I'll go find Bloma. Then I'll come back here as soon as I can. Lojola gazed at her with his ice blue eyes as she ruffled his fur. He woofed once and wagged his tail before bounding toward the wolves. As Mangata hiked in the direction of the cave entrance, she remembered an old saying. There is a reason to fear wolves, but it is not the one you think. Still, it brought her no comfort as she imagined her beloved pet being torn to bits by lupine fangs. The troll cave smelled worse than Mangata had dreamed it would. Perhaps it was the piles of discarded fish bones scattered on the cave floor from the troll's favorite meal, raw fish. Or maybe it was the trollish custom of bathing only once every 100 years. It didn't matter. The cave stank. But succumbing to the stench wouldn't help her sister. Mangata needed to find Bloma, make a deal with the trolls, and head east before sunset. She hoped, by some miracle, Lojala would be waiting in the forest, for she wasn't sure she could find her way home, without her dog.
Oh, wow. That was so good. Everybody's excited now. We've given you a couple of excerpts here from our book, from Vonnie's books, not just ours.
Well, it is our book. It was a team effort.
It's a team effort, but you did 99% of the work here. We just made it look pretty. Really. Okay, so to wrap things up, guys, thank you so much for tuning into our little lunch party. pick up your copy of Beneath Raven's Wing at your favorite bookseller. We are on sale everywhere, but you can get the hardback and paperback copies of the book from Barnes & Noble exclusively. Wait, are they also on Amazon?
The paperbacks are on Amazon, but not the hardback.
Hardback is exclusively at Barnes & Noble, but the paperback is on Amazon as well. Yep. And then if you want an ebook, you can get it pretty much anywhere. Wherever you buy ebooks, you can get it from there. So we're not discriminating at all. If you don't like Barnes & Noble or Amazon, and you prefer just Kobo or somebody else like that, you can get it from there. I hope you guys enjoyed as much as we enjoyed it, and we enjoyed working with Vonnie, and we enjoyed being a part of creating this book. I hope you enjoyed having fun here with us a little bit for our launch party that has suffered from a plague, almost. Plague of bad luck, but we still managed to pull it off. So we appreciate you guys tuning in and hanging out here with us. Pick up your copy. Don't forget to stay tuned to the party room, where I will be posting the question that we have chosen for the person for you to guess.
Yes.
Well, it's not really a guess. If you watch, you have the answer. You just have to be the first one to post the answer to win the book. So stay tuned to the party room for that. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you. Oh, I almost forgot. Okay, so at the end of March, we have another book coming out. By another solo author. His name is Ivor Stephen. You guys have seen him read. He was part of Nightmare Whispers as well. He was part of Daydreams, and he has his own book of poetry that is coming out in March. We will be doing something special for him as well. It will not be a launch party like this. We are trying to change things up a little bit, so there will be a launch party, but it will be something different. So you guys have got to be sure to stay tuned to our party room to see what happens for that in March. That's going to be March 30th when that book comes out. So don't disappear.
Ivor was also in Fairy Footprints.
That's right. Yeah.
Ivor was also in Fairy Footprints.
The Fairy Footprints as well. Oh, I almost forgot. We love him to death. He's in Australia, so the time is going to be much different than in Saturday night here on the East Coast. But I don't know how we're going to work that out. That's why we're doing things a little bit differently with him.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
We're going to figure it out. We got 2 months to do it. All right. So anyways, don't disappear. Thanks for tuning in. I love you guys. Bye-bye.